So we know the issues, we know about energy, we know about the border, we know Joe Biden doesn't know what he's doing. We know all that, we get all that. But why do this? Why do this here tonight with Legacy PAC? Because there's a whole lot of people who have the passion to save this country who need help getting off the ground.
The purpose of Legacy PAC is to save America. That's our mission. That's what we really want to do because America is worth saving.
I am by trade, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. Okay, so this is my first run in politics. We need more conservative Republicans standing up and fighting for the Constitution.
We're an America First PAC, and we want to promote and help our up-and-coming candidates, and we're going to be holding the line for President Trump.
I joined the Army at 17 years old. My first day at my first unit, which was 25th Infantry, was September 10th, 2001. So the next day was 9/11. And I spent about a total of a decade between Iraq and Afghanistan in country. So my country means everything to me. When I realized that if people like myself who don't want to be politicians don't start stepping up and taking these seats, that nothing's going to change, then I said, okay, I'll do it.
Who deserves to lead the people of this country more than those who serve this country? So I'm behind every one of them. So let's make sure we get more veterans into power. I'm all for it.
Remember why you're involved. We have to make sure people remain humble and not engage in self-glorification. You are here for one reason, and that is to save the country. Period. End of story.
And for those candidates who are looking uphill and wondering how, keep your head down, focus on the target, and outwork everybody. And I promise you, you're not gonna lose. You're either gonna win on election night or you change the game on election night. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much, Legacy PAC.
Thank you, Legacy PAC.
And Stan, where's Stan? Stan is with Veterans for Trump.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you all. We're honored. I know there are so many organizations represented here today.
You're saying here too much, but you're going to do very well. And I just had somebody write down. First of all, James and Sarah Pritchard, thank you very much. Yes, great job. Thank you. We appreciate all the help. Stanley and Donna Fitzgerald.
Right here, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's great that you're with us. Mike Acton.
Thank you for that.
Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for Trump, also known as Veterans for America First. I'm here with JON MYERS, who's retired military, running for Congress in Virginia 7. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great, and thanks for inviting me.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Can you tell our viewers about your military background?
Sure. I served 28 years in the Marine Corps, commissioned in '92, retired in 2020. I was an intelligence officer. And during those 3 decades, I was involved in some of the most high-profile national security events. In fact, a lot of the other Marine officers that I knew during my career like to joke that I was like the Forrest Gump of the Marine Corps, minus the intelligence problem, because I would end up in the most high-profile missions time and time again when I wasn't even really trying to. I was involved in the rescue of Captain Scott O'Grady from Bosnia in the mid-90s. I was a mission planner for that. And then most recently, I was the officer in charge of the Marine plan and the forces to go into Benghazi after the terror attacks. That's not just rumor. There was a force of Marines that we had on the USS McHenry. I spoke about that in a book that I wrote, but all the plans we had, the very thorough plans, were denied by Hillary Clinton piece by piece until it was just a skeleton plan. And I also led the Edward Snowden investigation for the Marine Corps, amongst other missions. And then a lot of deployed time, MU deployments all over the world as a MU intel officer. And then when I retired, shortly before I retired, I went to Marine Forces Europe, Africa, where I became an Africa expert. And I planned all the amphibious joint operations with African, British, Dutch, and French forces across the continent of Africa. And after that, I was selected to go to the Joint Staff to be General Dunford's Africa Intel guy, and then I became General Milley's Africa Intel guy, as well as the director of regional intelligence, so all the desks. And then I retired in 2020, and went back overseas briefly for my wife's DoD assignment, and here I am, ready to serve again.
Well, I did study your background a little bit, and after the military, do I understand correctly that you made efforts rescuing our allies or American friendlies in Afghanistan?
That's correct. Yes. When the whole fiasco happened, I got contacted by one Marine friend of mine who knew that at one time in my life I had worked at the State Department, and he was just desperate to get his interpreter out, who also happened to be the national karate coach for Afghanistan. So I happen to have some contacts on the ground as well as managing flights. So we got that family through the gate, using interesting signal technique we developed. And then after that, word got out that I could get somebody out, and the floodgates just opened. And over the course of 3 weeks to a couple months, myself and some other former Marines who joined me later managed to get out several thousand people, mostly American citizens and verified allies. We were not one of those groups that just loaded up airplanes with whoever. We made sure they were allies and American citizens. But yeah, we did that until the point that the Biden administration sort of caught wind of what we were doing, and they tried to shut us down by denying flight clearances and threatening us with legal action and that sort of stuff. So we continued to operate for a while. And I think there's even still a few cases going on today. But yeah, that's how we did it.
It's amazing how people don't grasp the Biden administration with everything they're doing wrong, and then they're blocking rescuing our allies. It's just amazing to me. John, tell us why you're running for Congress, and what are some of your goals or the platform you're running on?
Well, my number one of the main drivers of why I decided to do this was my experience in evacuating people from Afghanistan. When Jen Psaki got up on television in August and rolled her eyes and said, nobody's trying to get out, nobody's trapped, we've got it all under control. At that particular moment, I was at my house in Germany, and I had a list of 128 Americans who were desperately begging me through all hours of the day to please get them out. So that was the culminating moment when I said, you know what, we can't just continue to let our government, and especially our national security apparatus, be run by these non-serious people. These people that are only elected because they say the right things on Twitter about sexuality and racism and gender ideologies. But in actuality, they have no qualifications to be in those positions. So that was the primary moment that I just made the decision. But my focus is really national security, and especially rebuilding the military. And pet project, I am a Marine, so a lot of Marines right now are very upset about what's happened to the Marine Corps with the change in mission and not getting any new amphibious ships in the pipeline, and taking away our tanks and taking away artillery and eliminating a bunch of the infantry units in order to make them some sort of cyber warriors and missile shooters off of Navy ships. I mean, a lot of Marines are up in arms. So that's sort of my pet project, is I want to make sure that we get more amphibious ships in the pipeline, which is important in my district, shipbuilding, and the Marine Corps, of course, being so close to Quantico. I really want to try to get our district focused back on things that actually matter, like national security, the border, the cost of living, things that really affect everybody, not just Republicans or Democrats. Everybody's entrenched in this argument about social issues. And that's driven by our current representative, who that's all she cares about. She ignores the border. She ignores defense infrastructure. She ignores crime. She ignores the cost of living. She only involves herself in social issues and issues of race and sexuality and that sort of stuff. So that's what my focus is going to be on.
Well, it's important that we help you get there, because we need heroes like yourself that care about American policies, America First policies, securing the border, and especially the rule of law. And which brings me to my last question. And you noted you're working for both sides of the fence as far as the citizens. You want to appeal to both because you're representing things that people on both sides of the aisle want. And I think both sides of the aisle want the rule of law. And there's some things going on right now with these indictments of the former president, attorneys, and people around him that, based on the evidence, might not actually be within the rule of law, at least most of it. So can you comment on that? Because that is something that everybody's going to want to know, your position on these indictments and how they affect the rule of law.
I think it's absolutely shameful and embarrassing. I mean, it's I've been to 37 countries in Africa. My parents were CIA operatives, so although I'm Virginian, 14th generation, I spent a lot of my childhood overseas, and I traveled to some of the worst countries in the world in my lifetime, especially as a Marine. And what's going on now with our legal system being used as a political weapon is absolutely shocking, and it's on par with some of the stuff I've seen in Africa. That's how things happen in a lot of the countries in Africa. The government, the federal government, the military, the legal system is used to hunt down, arrest, imprison, kill your political opponents. And that's the track we're on. And the sad part is that, we're divided right down the middle. 50% of the people are okay with it because they just have this hatred in their heart for President Trump. And the other half are not okay with it because they want to abide by the Constitution and the laws the way they were established by the founders. And it's just sickening. The indictments are so obviously intentional and designed solely to stop President Trump from being reelected. And honestly, it makes me just sick to even think about it, about the sad state of what's become of our legal system.
Yeah, that it was not what our founding fathers intended. And I mean, I'm only 56 years old. I mean, I don't remember this even, a decade ago. 20 years ago, there was a lot of abuse and things like that, occasional stuff. But over the last 10 years, it's just kicked up to, it's like you said, it's very disgusting. So, John, I want to thank you for your time. I do want to make an announcement because our board at VFA have researched you thoroughly in your background, and I've been given the green light to announce your endorsement. So we're endorsing you at Veterans for Trump, Veterans for America First, and we'll get that out in the media very shortly.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I thank all of the members and the board. I'm glad you looked into my background, and I'm honored that you decided to endorse me based on what you found out about me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's an impressive background. And people across the country, can you tell them how to get to your website?
Sure. Our campaign website is Myers for Virginia. That's MYERS. Although even if you misspell it and put MEYERS, it still goes to my webpage. But it's MYERSFOR Virginia.com. And you can reach me by email at info@myersforvirginia.com.
Well, thank you, John. And we'll catch up with you on the bus tour coming up your way. We'll keep in touch. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome now. Bye-bye.
Bye.